Good afternoon, YouTube pipers. Double O Pipe here, aka Rick. I'm going to give the pipe I worked on another chance. This time I've put my favorite Carter Hall in. The one I had for the Codgers challenge. This is the hardest seat. All right, move that over. Lift this window up. Try and get a little breeze in here. It's 90 something degrees outside. That Carter Hall tastes good in this pipe. Maybe that's what I should have used to begin with. The guys came by yesterday and fixed up the stand for my air conditioner. Looks darn good. Looks darn good. It looks like it'll last for a while, longer than me. So it'll be here after I'm gone, I'm sure. Well, I see that my subscribers have gone over 310 now, which is, it just still amazes me. And I noticed on one of my posts, one of my YouTube posts, there were 1.2 thousand people who looked at it. I just can't get over that. And it was the one about the big fight in high school. I have 19 people on the list for the GAW, G-A-W, the giveaway. And I was going to wait until Friday to make sure everybody who wants to be on that list is on that list. Then Saturday I was going to read out the names to see if anybody else wanted to get on the list besides those who are on it. And then on Sunday I was going to put all those names in a hat and pick the one that wins. And when I do that, I'll ask that that particular individual give me all the information that I need so that I can get the gift certificate off to them from smokingpipes.com. I noticed something about the pipe whenever I put it in there. It's not straight up and down. It's angled a little so that the pipe angles a little. That's okay. That's, like I say, it's not bad with that Carter Hall. Maybe that's what I should have had it, or maybe that salt and alcohol did something to it so it didn't taste right to begin with. I don't know. Okay. I think that's everything I want to talk about to begin with. The list. I'm up to 300, I think it's 311 subscribers now. And that one particular post that had 1.2 thousand views. Can you imagine? I just can't imagine. All right. Me, I've been thinking about what to bring up today, and I thought I'd take you back to, must be sometime in May of 1964. when we were seniors at our James Island High School, and we were 18 years old, and we thought we had the world by the tail. We were going to set it on its head. That particular night that I'm going to talk about, we almost did. But the big dance, it was after the big dance, and I had dropped off my date, and I was supposed to meet the guys up at a filling station in the area that we lived in called the Terrace. It was about 1:30, and I dropped off my date and headed up to that filling station. And as I was driving up, I saw my buddy's car over to the right and a police car with lights flashing by it. And I was thinking to myself, somebody's been caught drinking and driving. And I pulled up next to my buddy's car. I said, what's going on? There were about 4 of them there. And they said, well, if you'd gotten here earlier, you'd know. I said, well, I didn't. What's going on? They said, this particular guy was Rod. He was a new fellow who had moved to our area and gone to high school. I guess about 6 months he had been there. We had taken him into our group. He was a little different. I'm not exactly sure where he was from. It seems like he was from the Appalachian Mountains or something. He was a little different from the rest of us. I said, well, what happened? Because I saw that the policeman was putting this boy's head down as he was getting into the back seat. They were arresting him. He was in his tuxedo and he had a suitcase in his hand. Because we were all going to the beach for the after dance parties over on Folly Beach. So they said, well, Rod was standing here waiting for us, and he was in his tuxedo, and he had his suitcase in his hand, and a policeman saw him and decided because it was 1:30 in the morning, he'd pull over and see what the story was with this guy. Well, the policeman pulled up, got out of his car, walked over to this fella, and said, son, what you doing? And he said, standing. He said, yeah, what you got in the suitcase? And Lord knows why he said this. He said, silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. That was the catchphrase for a cereal for children back in that time. Tricks. And that was the first thing that came out of his mouth when the policeman asked him. Well, the policeman decided he wasn't all there. Because he called him a silly rabbit. And that's why he took him in. He was going to jail for calling the policeman a silly rabbit, and the policeman thinking, this guy's not quite all there. So the fella in the back seat, as they were driving off, he just, big smile on his face, waved. I said, well, is that going to stop us from going to the party on Folly? And everybody said, hell no. I said, well, how about y'all come pick me up and I take this car? There's no sense in all of us going in separate cars. They said, okay, we'll pick you up. So I drove on home, slipped into the house, changed clothes, tried not to wake my parents up. Came out, and I walked to, we have a tree in the next yard, which was a lot that my parents owned at the time. And in between the trees, there was a hollow. And we had put in there, this is another story I might tell you one day. We had put in a bag full of booze. I mean, there must have been 12 or 13 bottles in that bag. I reached in and I got a fifth of Canadian Club and stood there waiting for my buddy to drive up. Excuse me. He drove up, and I got in the back, and I held up the bottle and said, "We're ready." And they said, "Any more bottles in the trunk?" I said, "Yeah, go get one." So all of them ran out and got a fifth of their own. Came back and got in the car. And Jimmy quietly backed out and took off. And as he was driving up the street, I went crack. And I said, "You guys hear that sound?" They said, "Yeah, that's the best sound in the world. Crack of a seal." I said, "Yes, it is." And I upended it, took a couple of glugs, and then handed it to somebody else, and it went around. Now, my oldest, or my best friend who died about 3 years ago, was in the back seat. He wasn't a drinker at the time. He was just kind of wild-eyed watching us do this because we had been doing this for a while. And it went around, got back to me, half of it was gone. So I did it again and passed it around, came around, and it was gone. So that just dropped in the floorboard. And somebody else went crack and started passing it around. Well, by the time we got to Folly Road and took our right to head for Folly Beach, we weren't talking too clearly. It's kind of slurred. And I said, "This is a mighty fine old bullion. What do you pay for this old bill?" And up front, he said, $55. I said, "Mighty fine old bill for $55. And the guy up on the passenger side was just going, "Yeah, yeah." The other fellow over here beside Jack was just upending the bottle again. And I said, "How much was the Fall Beach?" They said, up a ways, there's a bridge we got across." I said, "Okay." So over the outside bridge is Folly. I said, "Okay." Now Jack this whole time was getting really scared. He said, "Watch out, you're going to hit the rail on that bridge." "Oh, he's never going to hit that," and just swerved a little bit and went on his way. Jack was scared as hell because the speed on this car had picked up a little bit. It was an old Ford. I'm not sure what year it was, 58 maybe. And no, it had to have been a little older than that, because he couldn't have got it for $55 if it had been a 58, not back in 64. Maybe. But anyway, it had gray primer on it, ran pretty well. He kept the engine up pretty good, but the outside looked like an old car that needed a good paint job. Well, anyway, he was driving kind of fast well, the conditions weren't bad because it was a nice night. But for being drunk, yeah, he was driving fast. And Jack kept saying, "Slow down, slow down." He said, "Oh, shut up." He said, "Oh, shut up." We know what we're doing. He said, "Okay, here's the bridge." We hit the bridge and we went over. "We follow now." I said, "Okay, well, where are we supposed to turn?" And Jack said, "It's just up here." "Just where?" He said, "To your right up here." "Right?" Looking to the left. I said, "Yeah, you're right. Up there. Next turn." He said, "Where?" He said, "There. You right here. Turn, turn." So he whipped that wheel out, going a little too fast to begin with. And the tires just screeched as he made the turn, and bam! He ran into the car. It was parked on that side of the road, the other side of the road, not this side we were supposed to be on. Well, the guy driving said, "What the hell just happened?" He sobered up like fat because he was driving. And everybody said, "You hit a car." So we got out to see what the damage was. There was no damage to his because they were pretty well built that year. But the guy he hit, wasn't quite so lucky, I guess. So Jack, being the sober one, says, "Gotta call the police." And everybody looked at him like, "What? Gotta call the police? You hit something. That's what you gotta do when you hit something in a car." Everybody said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." And Jimmy said, "What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?" Said, "Well, you just have to tell them that you swerved to miss that dog." And Jack said, "What dog?" Everybody else said, "You know, the dog." And the driver said, "Yeah, I swerved to miss that dog. Where is that dog?" Everybody looked around to see where the dog was. Said, "Maybe we should find the dog. Make sure you missed him." He said, you know, don't you, Jack? You saw him, didn't you?" "Dog? Yeah, the dog you swerved to miss. I remember now. Yeah, I saw him. We better find him, see if he's okay." So we left the car where it was and walked up to the beach house where we were meeting our friends. And we said, "We better find some coffee and some breath mints. We're going to call the police." Everybody said, "Yeah, we better find some coffee and some breath mints if we're going to call the police. And yeah, we should look for that dog too." Anyway, got to the house, called the police. They bought the story, and I guess the breath mints and the coffee worked. I know that the driver sobered up like in an instant. We never did find that dog. Oh, jeez. At any rate, that was Saturday night, or, well, this was Sunday morning. And it must have been about 3, so sunrise was just a couple of 3 hours away. So we got a loaf of bread and a jug of PJ, walked over to the beach to watch the sunrise. And we had our own Easter sunrise service that morning with the bread that we had in our hands and the PJ we had in our glasses. And if anybody needed a sunrise service or to attend a sunrise service, this group did that day. Yeah, we thought we had the world by the tail. Idiots. I think that's enough for one day. Well, like I said, Friday, I'm going to call off all the names I have on my list. Right now, I have 19 people on the list. I'm going to give others a chance to say, yes, I want to be on that list. If they say, yes, I want to be on that list, I'll put them on the list. Otherwise, I'm not putting them on the list. So you're going to have to speak up if you want to be in this GAW. And after I've read the names on Friday night, you'll have one more day if anybody else wants to get onto it. And then on Sunday, I'll make a video showing that I wrote up all the names and put them in a hat. and made the drawing. And only one person's going to win, so that's the way it'll be. And it'll be a gift certificate from smokingpipes.com. And it's because I appreciate all of you guys subscribing to my channel. And I just can't believe somebody watched one of these things. 1.2 thousand watched one of these videos. And I can't figure out why that particular one got so many views. Like I say, it's the one about the fight at the high school that our teacher put the gloves on the two boys. Well, you guys take care of yourselves. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Everybody take care, as I said. Have a good evening. And God bless till the next time. Bye-bye.